everyone, and welcome to my Java programming tutorial. In this video we will cover loops in Java programming. So by the word loop, what does that word actually mean? Again, we will connect it from our daily life, from where you have heard this word. And programming is all about, you will see so many words which are already connected to your real life. So loop is something which something repeat again and again until and unless a condition is met. Otherwise it will be an infinite loop, and that you don't want in your code. So in Java we have certain types of loop. We have for loop, we have while loop, and we have do while loop. So in this video we will only cover for loop. So we will save the while loop and do while loop for the next video. So with for loop, why we need loops in Java? So if you take an example, for example, I ask you to print hello world, just simple hello world 100 times. You can do it, right? You may write 5 lines of hello world, then you copy and paste that 5 lines, then you copy and paste 10 lines, like, and so on, right? That's the next approach you will think of, like the shortcut. But in programming we have a more shorter way, so you don't have to write multiple times of the same line. Like, you don't have to write the same statement again and again. You have loop for that. So even if you have to print a statement 5 times, 100 times, or maybe you have a pattern of printing those statements, you can do that with the help of loop. We have for loop and while loop. These are the most common one. In for loop we also known as definite loop. Definite means, it's that word like means your loop will run. You know that how many times you want to run your loop. So for example, just like the example I gave, like I want to print hello world 100 times, or I want to print hello world 1000 times, 10,000 times. I know the limit, like there is a number that is set that you need to print that statement that many times. If you know how many times you want to run the loop, you will go with the for loop. That's why it is also known as definite loop, that you know how many times you want to run that loop. The other one is while loop. So while loop is indefinite loop. Indefinite means you don't know how many times you want to run the loop. So many of you will be thinking, how is that possible if we don't know how many times we want to run the loop? The example for while loop will be playing a video game, right? Or maybe you're creating a tic-tac-toe game, or maybe you're creating any other game like Tetris game or so on. So there, when you play a game, even as a guessing game, which you will have an example in this chapter. So even when you're playing a guessing game, your code will ask at the end, do you want to play the game again? So that's where your while loop come in. That's a loop. So if the user enter yes, it will repeat the code. If users say no, I don't like this game, or I'm not good at this game, or I have some other work to do, I'm done with this game, that's done. He will say no. So while loop is an indefinite loop. Maybe that code runs 1 time, or maybe 100 times. Maybe there is one person who just love your game and he's playing all day. And that's where it comes the while loop. We don't know how many times that loop will run. And do while is the one where you want your code at least to run 1 time. So when you are using do while loop, your code will run, or your loop will run at least 1 time, no matter what, no matter if your condition is true or false, because do while check the condition at the last. As with the name, do this thing and then check while that condition is true or not. So if you want your statement or your code to run at least once, you use do while loop. If you are using for loop or while loop, they both depends on the condition. So if the condition is false, your code or inside of the loop will not run. So let's talk about for loop. So the syntax for loop is, so with the for loop, what we have is, with the syntax, we have for as a lowercase for, and we have parentheses. Inside, what we will do is, the first step is initialization, semicolon, and then we have a condition. That's the most important part. And then what we have is increment and decrement operator. And there is no semicolon at the end of for loop. So don't put a semicolon. You have then starting curly braces and ending curly braces. Starting curly braces and ending curly braces are important. We don't have any indentation in this for loop or in Java. The indentation concept is in Python. In Java, we have curly braces which are very important. So if you are opening a curly brace, make sure you just directly close the curly brace as well. Don't wait till the end that I will close all the curly braces at the end. Otherwise, it will give you a hard time, because maybe because of one missing curly brace, compiler may give you 13 or 14 errors, and you are just spending time looking for your errors. You have for loop. So the initialization part is like the starting position. So again, for loop is a definite loop, so you know how many times you want to run the code. When you know how many times, for example, I'm a machine and I have to print hello world 100 times. So if I'm printing 100 times, even a machine is keeping track of how many times I have already done or from where I have to start. So initialization is kind of a starting point. So what we do is, you pick a data type, which is usually int I, integer, which will be integer I equals to 0, 1. It can be anything. This number can be anything, but you need to make sure that whatever the number you are putting right now, that's from where the counting starts. And int I equals to, let's say, 1, not 0. I is 1, and now you have semicolon. After semicolon, you have to set the condition. Your condition is when you want your loop to end. So this condition is very important. It may give you a little hard time fixing your code. Maybe your code runs, compiler may not show you, because that goes in the logical error part, because that's your mistake. It's a user mistake, so it will be a logical error, and Eclipse won't give you an error on this. Int I equals to 1. So we are sticking to the same example. We want to print hello world 100 times. What do you think will be the condition? This is the I. Now I is the one who is keeping track of how many times I have printed hello world. So I will be less than or equals to 100 and semicolon. So I is less than equals to 100. As long I is less than and equals to 100, my code will keep running, my loop will keep running. As it hits 100 and it's equals to 100, it will run the last time, and then I will be 101. It will check the condition, is 101 is less than equals to 100, no, stop the loop and print whatever is outside of the loop. Okay, and the last thing about the condition part after the condition is increment and decrement operator. Increment and decrement. Increment is I plus plus and decrement is I minus minus. Just like increment from increase, decrement from decrease. You need to increase your I so that at one point it meets your condition. If you don't put this increment and decrement, it will be an infinite loop because I will be 1 is less than equals to 100, print. Again, I is 1 less than equals to 100, print. So there is no ending point because I is not changing. You need to change your I, and how you will change your I? We will say I plus plus bracket close. This is I plus plus. You can say I plus equals to 5, make an increment of 5, 6, depending on your condition, depending on your code. In our situation right now, we just want to increase I by 1 every time so that it runs 100 times and print whatever is inside of my loop 100 times. Not more than 100, not less than 100. So that's where my increment and decrement. Again, no semicolon at the end, is just scratch marks. There are no semicolon. Now, what you want to print will go inside of the parentheses of this for loop. Now, what goes inside of the loop? So whatever, you can write multiple lines. There are many conditions inside of the loop. Maybe you are setting some conditions, if and else conditions inside of your loop. Yes, you can do this, and there are multiple examples which we will cover later. Right now, according to our example, what we are doing right now is just printing hello world 100 times. So I'm just writing system.out.println hello world inside of quotation marks because it is a string and I just want to print hello world as it is. You can print variables, you can print I, you can print some other variables which are part of your code before for loop. You can do anything inside of the loop, which we will see some of the examples later. Right now, according to example, simple hello world inside of double quotation marks, it will run. Now, how this code is running, let me draw a flow chart of this for loop, simple for loop. This is an input output symbol. So I'm inputting I equals to 1. Then you have a condition, and which we represent with a diamond shaped box. So our condition is I is less than equals to 100. Let's bring it down to 10 so that we can test, or maybe to 5 so that we can test in this video how this flow chart is working. So otherwise I have to do it like 100 times. And it will be boring. I is less than equals to 5. So that's my, now if this condition, so there are two cases of this condition. If this condition is true, then it means what we have to do is print system.out.print hello world. I'm just making it small. If this condition is false, what we have to do is exit the code. Okay, so if this is true, system.out.print hello world. I don't have space right now on my board, otherwise it's a little messy. Otherwise it's a very neat diagram, very simple. If this is true, system.out.println, we have I++. After doing I++, what we do is, okay, I'm just making it a real messy again. Okay, so let me draw some arrows so that it gives you a clear idea how, in which direction we are going right now. So I is 1. I'm writing I is 1. How compiler is working at the back end. Your I value is 1. It will check is 1 is less than equals to 5. This is how your condition is checked. Is 1 is less than equals to 5, true or false? So it will pick one part. That is true. 1 is less than equals to 5. We will go on this side. This is where our arrow is going, which says system.out.print hello world. So this is, for example, my output area. And here I will print hello world. So one hello world is printed. Then I is now 2. So after I++, I'm checking the condition again. Is I is less than equals to 5. Again, it's not 1, it's not 2, it's I. It's a variable. So this variable is changing. Now you have 2. Is 2 is less than equals to 5. Is it true or false? True. Again true. We are going system.out.print hello world. Again, I'm printing hello world. This is my output. This is how compiler is printing, but it's doing it so fast that we don't even guess how long it takes. I++, I is now 3. Again, after doing the increment, you are checking the condition. Now you have 3 is less than equals to 5. True. Print hello world. Again, I is now 4. Again, you check the condition. Is 4 is less than equals to 5. Yes, true. System.out.println hello world. I'm printing hello world. And I++ is now 5. Is 5 is less than equals to 5. 5 is not less than 5, but 5 is equals to 5. So your condition is true. Again, system.out.println hello world. So I'm printing hello world over here. And I is now 6. Again, you will check the condition. Is 6 is less than equals to 5? No. False. Exit. So this is your output. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So your code runs 5 times. And according to your loop, it should run 5 times. You can test the same output scenario with 100 times if you want. Again, this will it depends on this number, how many times you want to run the code, and also depends on the increment and decrement operator. Maybe you want an increment of 5, so it will add up to whatever the I is and will run that many times. So for this video, that's it for this video. We have covered for loop and how the flowchart works, how the basic for loop syntax works, and how that at the back end compiler is printing your for loop and accessing your for loop. In our next video, we will cover while loop, do while loop, and we will do some extreme examples of for loop as well, like with the star, with nested for loops and rest of the stuff. Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you. Bye bye.